Hi everyone, Michael from Bullion Now, bullionnow.com.au. So I thought I'd shoot this video this morning because it really highlights a certain thing. We covered it about 6 to 8 months ago, but today's a real stark standout example of what I'm trying to refer to. And what I'm relating to here is effectively, when is a price rise not really a price rise? So we can see here we're using kitco.com. And the reason Bullion Now uses Kitco for their raw data is because it is actual raw data. It's not blended data. It's taken straight out of the exchanges. It's not a blended price between the bid and the ask. It's not an average price. It's not a timed price or anything along those sort of lines. It's pretty much just raw data straight out of the exchange. So we can see here that currently in US dollars, gold is sitting at about $17.84 per ounce, and that's gone up $8 over the Friday trading market. Now, the trading market actually runs for 23 hours. So while it's Saturday morning here in Australia, it's actually Friday afternoon, evening in the US, and the New York Metals Exchange is still running hot. And you can see there it closes in 20 minutes. So what we've got here is a fantastic result. You know, spot price has gone up $8, and that's, you know, if you've been watching the last few days, it's actually been easing a bit. So it's really refreshing to see this $8 increase. And the world over trades in US dollars for their precious metals. Everything's denominated in US dollars. But you might say, well, that's really, well, it's all well and good, but I live in Bullion Now's case, I live in Australia. I earn Australian dollars. I spend Australian dollars. So it's all well and good that it's gone up $8 in US dollar terms. But what's that mean for me in my local currency? And here lies the rub. So right now, in Australian currency terms, spot price has actually dropped almost $20 Australian in what we would term the overnight market. So even though the world is celebrating because spot's gone up $8 an ounce, and that in gold, and that's all well and good, that's fantastic, the poor old Australian investor is looking at this, who's already holds the gold, saying, well, hang on a sec, I've just lost myself $20. That is what you're investing in. That's something that you need to be aware of when you invest in precious metals. You're not only exposing yourself to spot price movements, spot prices in the precious metal movement, so I hope it increases in price, or I'm about to buy it, I hope it decreases in price. You're also exposing yourself to currency risk. So whether that be your local currency strengthening or weakening against the US dollar. Now, if we have a quick look at the chart for the Australian dollar in this case, you can see there that this is the overnight price change on Google. You can see there that the Australian dollar has strengthened, or I would actually argue the US dollar has weakened against the Australian there. So yesterday, Australian time, you would have been getting, for every 77.5-ish US cents, you would have been able to get an Australian dollar. Well, overnight, Australian time, it's actually, you can see there, it's increased in price there. And now it's costing you high 78s US cents to purchase one Australian dollar. So by that increase of, 1 to 2, it's really only a 1 US cent increase in Australian dollar terms, it's actually brought that price of gold, in this case, down almost $20. Now, that in itself is not a bad thing. It's understanding that you need to get a handle on. So it means that you have to understand that and I said this a moment ago, when you invest in a precious metal, you're not only exposing yourself to precious metal price risk, you're actually exposing yourself to currency risk. Now, risk is not a bad thing. And in today's world, we seem to think that risk is it's a big problem. It's not. It's the understanding of risk. You're quite like, it's not a bad idea to take on risk, because risk is where profits can be made. But you need to understand the risk and minimize it where you can. All this example is really doing is trying to get people to understand the risk that they're taking and how you can possibly minimize it. So we get a lot of people that come into the shop and they say, spot price has gone up. I've heard it's gone up. Well, actually, in this example, it hasn't. It's come down in Australian dollar terms. And they look at you a little confused. Just get a grip on the fact that you're opening up, if you're not in the US, you're opening yourself up to two markets, the precious metal market and the foreign exchange market. So long as you can understand those two concepts, then you can make some really good money. And again, this is not investment advice, but people can make good money in precious metals, and they can preserve their wealth in precious metals, both in a worldwide term, but also in a local currency term. But you need to understand that you are getting a foot in both camps, and you need to watch both camps and be aware of both camps, both that precious metal camp and that foreign exchange camp. All right, I'm sure this is going to generate quite a lot of discussion. There'll be a bit of heated debate on both sides of the argument. Please like, share, subscribe, but also comment underneath. And one of us will try and get back to you and join in the conversation. Obviously, keep your comments, above board, the same as you would if you were chatting to your mother or something along those sort of lines, because you never know who's actually viewing these things. But I'm not against a spirited debate on this, on the pluses and minuses of it. And I know I've used an Australian context here, an Australian currency context, but it works the world over. So even though it's gone up, $7 or $8 US, in Canadian dollars, it's what's it done? It's actually gone down slightly in Canadian dollars. If we look at euros, I think it went up in euros here. So it's gone up slightly in euros. So even though I used an Australian context here, that doesn't matter. If you're outside of the US, this is real to you, and you need to pay attention to it. All right, that's it for now. Like, share, subscribe, as I said before, and we'll talk again soon. See ya.